It's your boy Joe, JC Sports Replays, with the return of the vlog and the return to streaming in a very, very small way at least. It's been a while. Um, it's 5:30 in the morning here in New Jersey. It is about 36 degrees out, but the wind has died down, so it's bearable. Well, I do have a coat and a hoodie on, and the pups are doing their thing. Um, so return to a lot of things today. I haven't walked the dogs probably in a month, just out of habitual laziness at this point, I guess. Um, Work's been tough, and I've fallen into some poor habits in terms of my exercise, my health, mental health, um, all around. Just really been working, getting through the day, coming home, not doing much. So since Veterans Day, I made a conscious effort to get the tabletop games back out and set up my gaming table again. I'm playing some payoff pitch. Actually, I started out with some strat, um, just to play some random games. I decided I want to play some payoff pitch, and I decided to get back on the horse in terms of completing my long-term project, which is like ideally doing like 1973 through well, right now 87, because that's what he's got available, but I'd love to be able to do the full 70s and 80s at some point. Obviously, that's a monster. Like, we're talking 20 years, that's a monster project. That's 20 years of gameplay, but what the hell, man? Go big or go home, right? Honestly, not stressing about it, but because my 1973 was kind of derailed by a loss of data on Digital Diamond, and I didn't have a backup. That took me back more than, or less than 2 months. I started with the first season I have available in that stretch, which is 77 in payoff pitch, and also a really big season in my lifetime. It's the first baseball season I can really remember watching. Definitely the season where I became a baseball and a Yankee fan. I was 4 years old in 1977, but yeah, I can remember some of it. I don't know how much. I think I've talked about this before at some point, but I don't know how much I remember from actually watching it, and how much I remember from, researching it after the fact. But I do know that my original baseball cards were from the 1976, and then I have a few cards from 76 back in the day, and then a ton from 1977, like hundreds of 1977 cards and 1978 cards. So I know at that point is when I get into collecting cards, for whatever reason. So who the hell remembers what they were doing when they were 4? But all evidence points to pretty much 77 being the inception of my baseball fandom. It's just cold enough for the nose to start running a little bit. But yeah, it's been a struggle lately, very honestly. I'm happy to have the game back on. Played 8 games yesterday, which was nice, mostly in the morning, and then I took a nap. It was a good Sunday. Had the weekend off, which I rarely have had lately. I'm always off Sundays, but I usually work a half day most Saturdays, and I know it doesn't sound like much, but it's nice to get that two-day break mentally from the stresses of working and managing people. So, especially in a sales-oriented job where there's a decent amount of pressure. So, yeah, so I woke up yesterday, I rolled about 8 games. Or I think I rolled 6 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. In between that, I got my hair cut, which was nice. Took a nap, watched the Giants game. It's friggin' amazing how the Giants continue to find ways to lose. Just amazing. And I don't expect them to be a good team. Obviously, they're in the middle of the shit here, but at some point, this has got to turn around. This is crazy. Hopefully, Dart will get healthy and get back on the field, because Winston's exactly what we thought he would be. Erratic and unpredictable. Fun to watch, right up until he throws the interception instead of the game-winning touchdown. But, you know, knew that was coming. So, come on. Come on, babies. But yeah, I'm going to make a concerted effort over the next, well, I guess what's left of the year, to get my mental health back in order, because it's definitely been out of order. Not to say I'm crazy, but, you know, to say that I haven't had good balance, and I haven't been doing healthy things to take care of myself, including engaging in our beloved hobby of tabletop gaming. Also like to get back to streaming a little bit, but holding my breath on that for a moment. Don't want to put too much pressure on myself too quick. So vlog is a good way to break that in as I walk these pups. Yeah, first time I walk the pups in a month probably. Got to get my butt back to the gym. Pretty sure I'm going to give myself a post-Thanksgiving boot camp kind of thing where I try to hit the gym every day from Thanksgiving or from Black Friday to the end of the year. Hey, come on. Come on, Circles. What are you guys doing? Going in circles. So, a lone bright star up there. If you can see it. The lights just went off to accommodate the camera here. So yeah, I think the last time I left off, I said I was gonna maybe talk about mental health and gaming, and I think I'd still like to do that. In fact, a couple things on my mind, right? Number one, Digital to Dice. Digital to Dice Con coming up in May. I am cleared to go with the wife, so I'm going to put in for the time off and plan on being in Connecticut. I think it's May 14th, 15th, and 16th. So I'm gonna get up on Thursday and stay and drive home on Sunday. So it's about a 5-hour drive for me. So very doable. So I'm gonna take Thursday through Sunday off and make sure I go up and meet some people, have some fun, play some games. May bring some strat stuff to trade or sell. I'm not sure. I have a few different ideas of things I might want to do. So that's number one. So if you want to hang out, if you're going to be getting to that con, let me know. That'll be a lot of fun. What else? I'm super excited for that, by the way. I wanted to go last year, but found out about it too late. We put our at work, we pretty much put our time off in by the end of January. So if I don't plan something by the end of January for the year, it's not happening. Or a very slim chance it's happening, because everybody's got 3-4 weeks of vacation, and that pretty much fills the year. It's not too many available weeks or weekends left once everybody puts their time in. So it becomes a crapshoot as if you can get the time. But this year I got the time, so I'm gonna make sure I have it. Putting it in today, actually. Already texted my boss. Today I'm going to put a vacation request in for this weekend. All right, cool. So already kind of approved. I already know nobody has the time, because everybody else's requests go through me. So what else? But yeah, mental health. So one of the things I want to do, and it's been kind of sitting on the burner for a little while, but I'm going to start working on it, is working on a book that's going to go hand in hand with the vlog. And I think we're going to be retitling the vlog, or titling the vlog. Shit, it went out of my brain. Oh, J. Henry Waugh Lives. In honor of that famous book that talks about our hobby. The author just died last year, I believe, Mr. Coover. But J. Henry Waugh does indeed live on in each of us. I think there's positive and negatives to that, right? So I think there are probably people for who the hobby is a very, very healthy part of their life. And for the most part, I fit into that category. When I am making sure that I have a little bit of playtime every day, it helps to balance my overall mental health. Um, Helps to keep me on an even keel. And I find that I'm much happier. Because when I'm not doing that, a lot of times, instead of playing a game or something, I am scrolling on my phone or overthinking something about work, or also I'm not sleeping well, might be drinking too much. Um, but when I am playing those games, I tend to find that sufficient to reset my mental health and like to relax in the evening. Um, Make sure I stay on a more even keel. Tend to want to do things like walk the dogs. I think a little bit clearer. So for me, engaging in regular play of whatever you choose, but for me it's the tabletop more than anything, is super important to maintaining a good mental health balance between work and the pressures of life and the stresses that we all have, and and what we end up doing with our free time, right? But there have been moments where the gaming has been detrimental to my mental health. That mostly happened to be with video games, where I would simply stay up with no regard for my own sleep patterns, and somebody else is going to work. I would simply stay up till, you know, 2, 3, sometimes even as late as like 5 o'clock in the morning when I had to work at like 8 or 9. Grab a quick nap, and then show up to work half-assed. And I was just playing games, and there was some sort of FOMO going on there, fear of missing out. There was some sort of like resistance to having to go to work in the first place at a job that I hadn't necessarily dreamed of or anything. Um, and maybe some sort of addiction going on there as well with the gaming. Well, anyway, in the past, gaming has been at times part of a very unhealthy lifestyle for me, which is, as many of you know, led me to a triple bypass 2.5 years ago. And it's super important that I do not slip back into any kind of habits like that. Now, I'm in a much better relationship now than I was back then. I'm much more aware of my triggers and the pitfalls of bad habits, but still, bad habits are very sneaky. they find a way, right? So, like, as I said, I kind of fell off the gym. I even fell off walking the dogs. Haven't had a good activity level for months now. Probably been drinking a little bit too much, although not to the point of like getting drunk every night or anything, but still, probably been having a drink or two almost every night for several months now. That's something I need to cut back on. Get back to having some good tea before bed. Things like that. So all these things factor in. But for whatever reason, I noticed that the way I choose to spend my free time is a good indicator of where my brain's at, and sometimes just enforcing myself to do things that are fun, frankly. I mean, isn't it funny how you have to force yourself to have fun? But it's true. You end up going down these rabbit holes. There's plenty of things to distract us these days, and a lot of them are not healthy. um, you know, you can get obsessed with politics. You can do way too much of anything, right? But I try to avoid things that make me feel shitty, frankly. Make me feel negative. Make me think negatively about the world and life and patterns around it. And I try not to be ignorant around things, but I try to make sure that I pay enough attention that I know what's going on, but don't get obsessed about it, right? Take appropriate action, do what you can, but most importantly, make sure that you take care of yourself and your family. So for me, that means being active, being healthy, engaging in hobbies I enjoy, making sure I live up to my responsibilities at work and at home. And when those things start to slip, it's super important for me to do a reset. But I think the other side of it, like I talked about, is I'm sure there are people who who do anything in an unhealthy amount or in an unhealthy way, right? So, so I'd be curious to see how other people view their gaming, particularly in the tabletop hobby, and what you do to make sure that you stay on an even keel, or if you even have control of that keel. Like, are you pretty consistent with your gaming? When you drop off gaming for whatever reason, is because life gets busy? Do you find your mental health suffers? Or maybe when you game too much. Maybe when you even game to the point that it makes living up to your other responsibilities to yourself, it's like your health and that sort of thing, difficult. Are you even aware of that? I know some people who in my opinion, definitely engage in the game in an unhealthy way. And in one case, I've spoken to that person, and they blew me off and said they can do what they want. So that person is not interested, and they're 100% correct. They can do what they want. But just like anything, when you see a friend doing something that starts to bleed into hurting the rest of their life, I think it's important to speak up. But anyway, back home with the pups, about to go inside, get some coffee, warm up. My hands are frozen right now, and get some breakfast. And hope you all have a good day. It's nice to be back on here. I'll see you. How do I end it? Night, puppies.